Okay, looks like we're ready to get started. We've got the afternoon session, so usually the afternoon session is for those that are either coming in late for lunch or they're tired. So we hope we can pick you, allow you to maybe learn a little something from our session. Thank you all for joining us and attending it. Today we're going to try to teach a couple of new tools that we've learned, and like anything else with technology, you will probably have different ways to use these same tools. So we do encourage you to go back and practice, and use them, and hopefully our goal actually is to help this make these tools allow your job to be a little easier. My name is Kathy Mancillas. I'm the librarian at PSJ High, and I've been with the district for going on my 25th year. And technology has actually transformed how I teach and how I help our students learn. So as a librarian, I do have the pleasure of allowing to get to see all of our teachers and students walk in the door to our library. So my goal is to promote a lot of the new technology tools available for us this year. And before we continue and get started, I'd like to also introduce to you Ms. Danica Simons.
Hi everyone, I'm Danica Simons. I am the librarian at Liberty Middle School. This is going to be my going into my 6th year at PSJA and my 9th year in education. I started out as a library aide at a high school in a different district, and then I was a teacher here at PSJ High School, and now I am a librarian at Liberty. Um, I am really excited to be here, and hopefully, you guys are able to get some tips that can be really useful for you in the classroom and for your students. And I know my last year of teaching was in the pandemic year, so I was really utilizing, say, nearpod, like that was my bread and butter for that year. So there's a lot of new things that all of these tech tools have incorporated since then. So it's just something that you may be able to start incorporating into your classroom as well.
So as we continue this session, we are going to include a couple of our tech tips for maybe literacy resources that we have, new tools that we've been introduced to you. We're also going to go into some of our Google products and introduce Wakelet, Canva, Nearpod, and just a few more that we have available for you. One of the new tools, what I've seen as a librarian is a lot of times our students tend to go away from, we're trying to get them to use Google Slides, but they still like to use a lot of PowerPoint. And so one of the new tools that PowerPoint has for you is allow students and teachers to present your presentation live, using their devices or maybe using your cell phone. And I'm going to take you through a few steps so I can show you how this works. So this right here, once you go into your tools, it gives you a QR code which takes you actually to the presentation. So I'm going to get out of my presentation and I'm going to show you where you could find over here on the top right corner. You have this button that says present, and under present, you have rehearse with a coach and present live. So rehearse with a coach is actually a really neat feature that I highly recommend for students. And even if you're using a PowerPoint to practice for a session that you're training, or maybe an interview that you're using, what rehearse with a coach will do for you, it will give you an opportunity to practice doing your presentation and practice actually taking your presentation step by step. And then at the very end, it'll give you an evaluation. It'll show you maybe if you had words repetitive, maybe how fast you're presenting. It'll actually evaluate you, and it'll help you and give you suggestions on how to improve you as a presenter. And when you go down to present live, I'm going to go ahead and share with you here. This is where you get your QR code. And if you have options, if you have an opportunity right now to go on your phone and scan the QR code, so what this will do, it'll show you the teacher, the presenter. Once you have your audience joining in, it'll show you right here as they're joining. And at the same time, they have your presentation on their device. And then you as a presenter can continue moving forward with your slides, and they cannot move forward with with the slides until you allow them to. Also, you have an option at the very bottom where you are able to change the language. So if you have any students in your class that maybe don't understand English very well and they rather have your presentation in Spanish, you're able to get the presentation translated in Spanish. So this is very helpful for students. Again, remember that once they join your class, as you can see right here, we're joining in. Once they start joining, they're not allowed to move forward in the slide until you as a teacher or you as a presenter is able to move forward in your presentation. So this is a really good tool. It's very helpful for also students that don't show up to class with their laptops and they have a cell phone. They still get your presentation on their device, on their cell phone. So this is called Go Live on PowerPoint. And then again, remember that the button at the very top allows you to do present with a coach. So as I move forward, I want to share with you voice typing. So this feature allows you to take your notes, or maybe even at a conference, take the notes for you on a Google Doc. And as you open up your Google Doc, it allows you to pick up the presentation, or maybe your voice, as you're speaking, and it'll take down the notes for you. So sometimes you're not able to type, or maybe you're just tired of typing on your keyboard. You want to be able to use voice typing commands so that you're able to take your notes. So I'm going to open a blank Google Doc. And in my Google Doc at the very top, I'm going to go up to Tools on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to go down to Voice Typing. And once I go to voice typing, it picks up a mic. And once I click here on the mic, it'll start typing my notes. So remember, I opened up a blank document. I went to Tools, and from Tools, I went down to Voice Typing. And when I click on my mic and allow the document to start, then this will begin taking down the notes for my document. It'll take down my notes for my presentation. It'll even take down the notes that you're at a session to type for you without having to use your keyboard. So this feature is called voice typing. The next feature I want to share with you is called STAAR Links-A-Lots. What this does for you on all of our Google files, if you have, let's say, a Google slide, and you want to be able to share your slide to maybe your department, but yet you don't want them to be able to use your slide or change around your slide. You want to be able to change the URL so that it forces a copy. It gives them the preview, maybe a PDF file. This is a great extension for you to use. It works with most of our Google files. So you do have to go to the Chrome store. When you go into the Chrome store, you will find this extension. It's called STAAR Links-A-Lot, and you add it to your Chrome, and it gives you the option that once you get into maybe let's say I'm going to use this particular file that I have here, and I don't want anyone to change this particular Google slide. I'm going to copy at the top, and I'm going to go into my little puzzle that's right up here at the top right corner, because this is where all of my extensions will fall into, and I'm looking for Sir Links-a-Lot. It's right down here in the bottom. So when I go here, it allows me to either create and make this URL a forced copy, a preview, a template, a PDF. So all you'll have to do now is, once you allow it to make it a forced copy, you grab the URL, and then that's the URL that you will share. Again, this is a really neat way to share your documents so that no one changes your original files. Now I'm going to send this over to Ms. Danica.
All right. So I did want to ask, how many have used Wakelet? Because I'm sure you've heard of it. If you want to raise your hand, just so I can see how many people have actually used it. All right. So about one. Nope. Okay. So Wakelet is really cool. It is considered the Pinterest for teachers. So if you've used Pinterest before, which I'm sure most of you have, um, it is a way to just collect a lot of resources, images. Um, you can put GIFs, you can put flip videos if you are watching the lunch live that we had. So things like that. So really interesting ways to be able to use it. You can curate your resources. I know for myself, I've used it a lot to be able to curate any of my resources from all the conferences that I've been to. So I know I was actually working on that about a week ago because I ended up having a ton of links and a ton of presentations that I wanted all in one space for that one technology conference. So for one, I had about 48 presentations that I had all in just one space. So it's really great to just organize them all in that one area. You can use it for student portfolios, and it is great for students because they do have a lot of protection for students. So they are COPA compliant, any of the acronyms to help make sure that students are safe online. They have that within that for your students. And once they turn 18, if you teach high school, they can potentially have it switched over to an adult account. So it's not just a student account. So if they have, say, a student portfolio, which there are a lot of examples of that. So if they happen to be musicians and they have videos of them playing the flute or the cello, they can collect all of that along with their resume, along with anything else that they have that they would potentially use for college or their career, so that they can showcase everything within that one space. You can do choice boards in your classroom. You can do podcasts. You could also use your flip videos as a podcast so that you can have students answering questions within it. The other great thing for Wakelet, if you go online, you can be able to sign up with your own work account. It's really easy. Definitely utilize the app. I feel like the app doesn't get talked about enough. If you're somewhere, say around campus, and someone has a resource that you want, they can send you the link really fast and you can quickly add it into the app and into that collection that you have. So when I went to the TCA conference and the TLA conference this past year, I just used my phone for collecting everything. All those tiny URLs that they shared, I literally just did it on my phone and I already had it within my collection. I didn't have to go searching for it. I didn't have to have a million tabs open. It was all just there. So I made it very simple and easy. And then just like last week, I was going through it again just to make sure that everything was okay, that there wasn't like duplicates or anything. It's really easy to just go back and check on all of the things that you added. I know some people have used it like if there's certain things that you're trying to shop for, or you want to make like a Christmas wish list or your birthday wish list, you can do it that way too, and then send it and share it with people. I know there was one school that they had shared that showed it for, they added images of their lost and found items, and they put a number with that lost and found item. And it said at the top, like, parents and students, if you want to claim it, please call this number with the identifying number with that item. So it can be used in a multitude of ways. It's just how you would like to use it. Now for Canva, and I know there was a lot of sessions today over Canva. I love it. I think I've been using it now for about 8 years. And of course, they keep adding a ton of new things. So the magic shortcuts and presentations is really fun. If you haven't used it before, it's really cool. So you would have to present through Canva. So if you have your presentation there, you would present inside Canva and you would be able to do there's like shortcuts for timers. So if you automatically want to put a timer, you can just press a number when you're doing that and it'll give you like the 2 minutes, 3 minutes, however long you needed for your students. And then they have some really cute things like confetti, a drum roll, a mic drop, and a few other things so that you can really make it a little bit more interactive. For Magic Design and Magic Write, it is an AI tool that is their AI generated search. So you can, for like say for design, for the Magic Design, you could go in there and you could say, I was a social studies teacher, so an example would be United States Cold War. And so it can automatically populate things for the causes of the Cold War, the effects, any weapons, um, and it'll generate it that way. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. AI isn't perfect. It's just another tool. It's just another search. And your search is really only good if you know exactly what it is that you're looking for. So you may have to tweak it, you may have to change it, but it really is dependent on how good you are at searching or how specific you are. And the same thing for Magic Write. For Magic Write, you can say, I know most people probably saw the Barbie movie. I still haven't, but I did see Oppenheimer. So you could say that you search for the summary of the movie Oppenheimer and it'll populate that, or summary of a book, or anything like that, so that it'll just automatically populate it. Of course, I wouldn't probably just leave it as is. You should probably go back and edit and make sure that it is exactly what you want, but it gives you a really good starting point. And of course, for Chat GPT, I'm sure everybody's heard all the things about it, but it's just like a search tool. It's not the end of everything. And I know for this meme, it's really quite funny because if you do look at it, it populated the student turned it in and it populates that. Sorry, we weren't really able to get exactly what you wanted in Chat GPT. So you really need to be more specific. Students are probably not going to understand that, especially if they are trying to use it um, for different means than they should. So it is a little bit easier to tell. It's not going to be always something that you entirely have to worry about. Yes, it'll happen, but it's just like any other tool or any other search. They could search things potentially that they shouldn't be doing to turn in work, but there's also going to be other options for them. So it's just really a starting point. There were some really cool things at the conferences that we went to saying that teachers utilized it for creating rubrics. You can be very specific with Chat GPT and saying, I would like a rubric for um, so many things, and it'll create, and you can say create a chart, and it'll create a chart so that you can have that for your students and just edit as need be. So it'll be a really great starting point, especially for grading, which is a really huge time consuming thing. So that may be incredibly helpful for you as a teacher, um, to like really look at it from that angle. Is it on your second screen? Hold on, guys.
Okay, sorry about that. It looks my mouse just completely went dead. So now, are you still able to see my screen? Yeah, I think you need to open it back up, Danica. I don't have it either. Sorry. Uh, it's not even letting me go to my Chrome. This is where I opened it up. Sorry, just having technical difficulties over here. Nope. Gonna have to go back into my presentation because it's not allowing me. There you go. Can you still see it though? Yeah, I think I lost it, right? Okay, but am I having to? Let me just take us back. There we go. Okay, let's see. There we go. Sorry, we're getting back in. For some reason, my whole computer just, of course, it's a conference. Why not? So let's go into our next step. So this is a really neat way for teachers. If you go to a conference, you know, sometimes we'll come back with a PDF file, maybe a lesson plan, an article, something that you want to be able to share in your class. So this is another great extension. I highly recommend using it. I'm going to show you what it'll look like after you add your information. So if you have, let's just say an article that you found and you want to turn that article, you're using it as part of your lesson, you can make that article into a fill in the blank sheet, an assignment, a quiz, with a word bank, or just having it be a fill in the blank assignment. So what I recommend, I already have it added to my Chrome as an extension. So go in there and add the extension first, and then let's open up an article so I can show you what it's going to look like. So you want to be able to, of course, open up a blank document. So I'm going to open up just maybe a new document here. And again, remember, this is an article that you might have found on the internet, or maybe information you brought from a conference. So I'm just going to go to any article and I'm going to scroll down. So this article already has links. So I want to be able to copy it and paste it without the links. So I'm just going to highlight a small area, a small portion of the article, and I'm going to put it into my doc, and I'm going to make this into an assignment, or I'm going to make this into a fill in the blank quiz for the students. So when you're going to paste it in your doc, you want to be able to add it, go to edit, and paste without formatting. Because the article that you're using, or maybe the article you picked up, has links already, you want to be able to add it without the links. So you're going to go to edit and paste without formatting. And there's your article. So I like to also maybe work with the fonts, make it a little bigger, add or make any kind of changes. So let's just say this is your whole article and you want to make this, you worked on it in class, you want to make it into a quiz or an assignment. I already added the extension, and once you add the extension, it allows you to go and create your article into an assignment. So I'm going to go to my extension. It's right here at the bottom, and I'm going to go to start. So the really neat thing about this extension, it allows you to create it with highlighted words and a word bank, which is the word bank that's provided here in the example that I gave you. Or if you want to just make it a fill in the blank. Okay, so if I create it as a word bank, then any words that I want to highlight. So let me just do this word. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to highlight it. And let me go right here and I'm going to highlight this one. And let me just try this word. So you're creating your assignment already. You're creating your fill in the blank. So I already have my words highlighted. So I'm going to go right over here to my extension and I'm going to ask it to create a fill in the blank with the word bank. So you see how every word that I highlighted is filled down here at the bottom. And so now you can use this as an assignment to post in your Google Classroom, print it out as a handout for your teacher, for your students, and it provides them and it gives them access to the exact same words that you had already highlighted. So this again is an extension. You want to add it so that you're able to use your articles as an assignment for your students. So I'm going to go down to Google Dictionary. So in Google Dictionary, it's also highly recommend you go in there. It's a free online dictionary. And every time you add it, of course, you want to add it to your Chrome extensions. And every time you open an article, I'm going to go into another article because I've already added my Google Dictionary. And remember, every time you open your article and you highlight the article, it's automatically going to give you the meaning, the dictionary. It's going to give you anything that maybe the pronunciation, anything that your students may need help with to the same article that you provided for them as an assignment. So this is a free online dictionary. It does provide opportunities for your students to learn when you provide them with articles in your Google Classroom. One other next thing I want to share with you is Socratic with Google. So what this is a learning app. Students can use it. It's really good for high school students, students taking a DC class. And sometimes it may be maybe difficult for, let's just say if they're taking the algebra class or they're taking a math class and it's hard for them to learn or to understand how to work out the math problem. So with this app on your cell phone, if you take a picture of your worksheet or you take a picture of the actual math problem in the app of your cell phone, when you take a picture using the app, it'll give the student a step-by-step instruction on how to solve the math problem. This also is a really neat app to help students that are working on other, let's say, with looking for resources for their ELA classes, for a research paper. This will help them find the proper resources to do research on any assignments that they're working on. So with this app, make sure to download it, try it out, and you'll see, especially with math, it's very helpful with math. Danica?
All right. So for Nearpod, I personally really love Nearpod. Is what I mainly use during the pandemic. And there are ways for the STAAR 2.0 to be used with Nearpod. So in this image, there are, and if you look in the chat, I did put the link to our presentation so that you can see it more clearly. And it'll give you each of the activities that they do have in Nearpod and what that corresponds to with which STAAR test. So if you are an ELA teacher, and you are tested, you'd be able to see which of the Nearpod activities would correspond to that type of question so that you can have your students practice. Um, and this is incredibly helpful because I know we're all trying to get students more prepared and better acquainted with those online questions like drag and drop, fill in the blanks, just so that they can just be really comfortable with all of that. So this is a really easy way to incorporate it. And for PSJA, we already have Nearpod, so we can easily use it. If you haven't used Nearpod before, it is really just adding like a whole presentation with potentially all of your activities. I know for myself, I really used it for the activities portion of my class. I would first discuss what we were learning and then I'd have them work on assignments. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like that either. You can use it and incorporate it in your classroom in a bunch of different ways. I know for some days when I had something really different that they had to do. So, like, say I had freshmen in world geography, when they had pre registration, especially specifically that year for the pandemic, the counselors were calling them individually for pre registration. So, during my class time. So, for that day, I had them just watch a TED talk that I had so that they could answer questions within that TED talk. So you could potentially use it for a bell ringer and also for attendance. You could just have them go through and watch a really short video over the topic that you're covering that day and have them ask, like, answer questions. Or you can already have them utilize, like, if you are tested, have them utilize these types of questions for like a brief little like mini quiz that you're going to go over and incorporate into your lesson. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to just use it for absolutely everything in your class for the whole class period. You could use it only for videos that you have them watch so that they can answer questions on it. You can use it for activities. It really just depends, but I do think it's really amazing to use in the classroom, and a lot of kids are really used to it. So it shouldn't be much of a learning curve for anyone. All right, Kathy.
So blackout poetry, a lot of times during um, classes where we bring students over to work on a project with poetry, they seem to be pretty shy about wanting to do poetry or share their poems. So we've done different, let me see, I'm going to show you first samples of the different types of poetry activities that we do. So here is just a page from a book, an old book that maybe we're not using anymore in the library, and I'm going to discard it so our students find it pretty neat to be able to use drawing and then do their poems by highlighting and singling out certain words for their poems. Let me see if I have another one. Also, we grab the pages of the book. Here's a student on one of our activities, and the highlighted words, actually, once you go back to read their poems, really make sense. And it's really neat to see how they are able to do that. So what you want, let's just say if you want to do a digital poem and you want to go and grab some information from an article on the web, you want to start again. I'm going to open up a blank document so I can show you how to use this in a different way. So I'm going to grab an article. Let me go use a different one that we haven't used. And I'm just going to grab some information from the article. And this is a way that we're able to get our students more involved in maybe putting their own poetry together. So when I do the copy paste, make sure that you paste without formatting so that it takes away all the links and all you have are just the words. And then I like to go back and I do like to change around the words, the font, and the size. So here we have a whole bunch of words. And so for the students, we get them to go in there and they highlight a couple of words. So I'm just going to highlight just a few, and I'm going to highlight them in the color white, um, so that we can see the final product of this poem. So your students are just highlighting words, and they're thinking about which words they can use to put their own poems together. And I just do a few. And so once I highlighted just a few, I want to go into my file up here on the left side, and I want to change the color of the background of my paper. So right now it's white, and when I went to file and page setup down here at the bottom, I can go to page color, and I'm going to make this color maroon, and I'm going to say okay. So now the students are able to see the words that they highlighted to form into their poem. So this is a poetry, blackout poetry sample lesson that you can do. The month of April, we do a lot of poetry. It's National Poetry Month, and we tend to share different ideas for our students on how they can, share their own poems with us, a digital poem or maybe from a book that we are discarding from the library. So it's really easy. If you want to use digital, go to an article, grab the words. Just don't forget that you have to change the background color of the page so that the student is able to see their poems. So we have just a few more minutes that we want to share some of our literacy resources that every library, your librarians have access to these resources. Not sure how many of these you're familiar with, but one of the ones at this time of the year or at the beginning of the school year, um, we go to our Mac and Via resource to grab our test prep and career resource. What this does for what this has really for our students is access to the practice test for TSI. This is the time of the year we want to get our students to pass the TSI so that they are able to take a college class. And we have some amazing resources in Mac and Via in this test prep. It recently changed from test and career prep. Now it's called Peterson's Test and Career Prep. You get access to where every student logs in and they create an account. When they go in and take the practice test, they're able to see their score. They're able to get a report of which questions they are getting wrong. It also helps the teacher to know which part of the test the students have mastered and maybe which areas they need most help with. It also has where your students can go and find information on the different colleges, the different university scholarships. If you're working on assignments for a career pathway, this is a great resource for that as well. And for students taking the ASVAB, vocational test prep, all of those tests are in this same resource that we have in our library. If you're not familiar with it, it is Mac and Via, and I'm going to share with you a few ways on how you can log in. One way is students can go straight to Clever, teachers can go straight to Clever, go into your district apps, and every librarian will have the username and password for you. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to share on how to log in so you become familiar. The username, if you want to practice it where you're at for PSJ High, for Bears is PSJ High under user ID, and then your password is PSJA. Remember, also this is access, you get access to our ebooks, our audiobooks, and all of our databases. So different ways to log in. Right here on the left side, you can log in going to databases because this is where all of the databases are at. And in some schools, you'll find groups. And if you go straight to groups and you filter it so you're able to see which groups are already created for you. So if I go to my test prep group, I'm going to find it here as well. So this is coming to you from Peterson's. It is a test prep material. Students create their own account. Teachers get access to reports for every student taking the practice test. So I'm going to open up right here, improve your score. And when I scroll down, you have your college prep and your high school prep. You even have grad school. So if I go to high school, I'm going to find my AP test. I'm going to find my end of course, the STAAR exam, and I'm going to find the TSI. So all of them are listed under high school. And when I go to the high school tab for TSI, this is where the students gain access also to articles on how to best beat the stress. You know, they become stressed out during or before they take this test. It's really good articles for them to read, share this part with the students as well. I'm going to open it up, and this is where your student will have to log in and get their own account. Now remember that after every student takes the test, there are over 100 questions in 3 tests. So you get over 100 for math, for reading, and for the writing of the TSI. You as a teacher, I highly recommend that you also create your own account and you get access to this practice test as well. And you can get full access to everything that your students are having access to as well. Career pathways, you have all the different careers. So if you're a teacher and you're assigning an assignment to research the different career pathways, this is a great resource. Vocational test. This is where we have our students that are going to take the ASVAB, the cosmetology exam, any exam to the law enforcement, military, nursing, all of those practice tests are right here. So again, you will go to Macinvia to get this information. We do have access to all our databases. Every school has their own username and password. So I highly recommend that you go to your librarian and get access to that so that you're able to go back and create your own account. Now with Macinvia, we also have the same test prep. We have one that's called Learning Express, and it's also in Macinvia. And with our Learning Express database, you have access to practice tests for your TSI and STAAR. If you want your students to take practice tests as you go on throughout the 6 weeks, this is a really good resource to get them prepared for the big day when they are taking their exam. We also have the TSI, the AP test, any tests that are related to job and career, the same way with Explore. If you have an assignment to do for career pathway, all of those are all in this same resource that we have under Learning Express. So Macinvia is, it does have a lot of resources there for you. It's taken, I guess, as a librarian here at the high school at Bears. I try to guide our students to go away from Google so that they're able to use resources, because these are the trusted resources that are really going to help them as they prepare for these exams. So as a teacher, become familiarized with Macinvia, and this will help your students be successful in passing these exams. One other resource I want to share with you is teaching books. So right now, all of our students are having to do an assignment for summer reading. This is a great resource for teachers if you want to grab, maybe get some lesson plans, you want to get some articles that tie in to the particular book that they're reading, you want to grab any type of information that ties into any of our books, teaching books will give you that. I'm not really sure which books you are working on your campus, but I'm going to try one. I know at our school, Long Way Down is a very popular book, and our students, our incoming freshmen, have to read this book for their summer reading and to prepare as they come into school at the beginning of the school year. So just by going into this resource, I already can tell you that it does have activities, lessons, videos, book trailer. It does have a lot of really neat information that the teacher can use, vocabulary words that can tie into the same book that have been assigned for our students. So this is called Teaching Books, and it's in Mac and Via. Get a chance if you can create an account or have access to your campus Mac and Via. If not, you can try out the one from Bears. Remember, it's PSJA High under the user ID and PSJA under the password. I do want to share one more of the resources that we use on campus. It's district wide. I think this was introduced to our district probably about just maybe 5 or 6 years back, and it's on Mayan. So Mayan is also logged in for students to go in as their apps in Clever. Mayan has been proven to help our students pass their tests as well. We here at my campus, we do promote a lot of Mayan. I'll do a few challenges, have students read books, and the students that read the most books get rewarded at the end of the 6 weeks. And what Mayan does for them, they log into Clever, and you'll find it in their apps. It's right here under Maya. And I know that it may change around how they see their apps, but this is what it should look like, Mayan. And once the student goes in, it does have a small survey for them. It allows them to maybe pick and choose what type of books they like to read, what interest levels they have. So what Mayan will do with this particular survey, it puts a list of books for the students in a backpack so that they're able to read books that they have interest in. So once they complete their survey, all of the recommended books in their reading level fall under this area right here. So if I recommend every day, 15 minutes a day, if you allow your students to read these books, what Mayan will do for you is it will push out the next book on their interest level, but it'll make it a little harder, and it's also helping them raise their reading level. And it's helped tremendously with our students on our campus. Um, I think as a teacher, if you go into Clever, you also have access to see Mayan books, and you're able to take the survey as well. So all of this is through Clever and through Mac and Via. Try practice with it. Go through the different resources that I showed you. Become familiarized with it, and it will help you out tremendously with your classes. Danica?
All right. So for Immersive Reader is mainly available in Office 365. You can potentially find it in different places, and if you do, it will have a little icon. If you like right click on certain articles, it may be able to also use Immersive Reader. And you can change a lot of different things. So it can do like audio of the whole article or whatever it is that you're looking through, or from their assignment, so that if they're writing something, they could also listen to it so that then they can get a better understanding of what it is they're writing, if it sounds right, if it makes sense. Um, and things like that. You can also change the language when you're doing the audio. You can also change out how it looks potentially. So you can use like the dyslexic font. You can change out the font. You can change out the color in the background. So when we saw someone use it at one of the conferences, she said that for her visually, everything online is read better through like a purple, so like a light lavender color. So you can change it according to that. So it'll have a bunch of different colors, and potentially some students may have a certain color that helps them read better or helps them visually see it. And that's a really great way of being able to do that. And you can do that through Office 365. So if you have them working on a Word document or a PowerPoint, they can use Immersive Reader within that. Or if you are working on just your PowerPoint that you have, they can potentially look at it later through the Immersive Reader as well. And so you really are going to just find it through that icon throughout. For Sora, Sora is via Overdrive. So if you've, or yes, Overdrive, because I get confused with OneDrive sometimes, like two different things. Through Overdrive, and they have Sora and the Libby app. So if you happen to have the Libby app, that's usually for public libraries. So the McAllen Public Library, the FAR Public Library, most public libraries have a Libby account for ebooks and audiobooks, and potentially other things as well within the Libby app. So Sora is the school version of that app. And we do have it for PSJA. There are some books already and ebooks already available. And they are allowed to check out 3 at a time and have 3 books on hold. And it's really interesting for the school one because they do have badges. So you can, as you start to check out more books or complete more books, students will be able to receive badges. Actually, even you can receive badges as well, because I was looking at it again today and I got another badge for checking out a book. So it's a little bit different from the Libby app in that sense that it helps it um, students gain more more excitement through it with excuse me excitement through it for being able to get those badges for reading more. And there are some that are available. I think most of them are available to multiple students at one time. I don't know if it's all of the copies that are available through Sora for our district, but it's going to be most of them. So multiple students would be able to check out the book right now. And if you do have the Libby app, highly recommend. And if you happen to not know, the Austin Public Library does allow other people to use their audiobooks and ebooks through the Libby app for like a really small fee. And that's really cool because they have a lot larger collection, because they are in a huge city, so they have a lot more money to purchase books. So if you are a big reader and you like using audiobooks and ebooks, that's a really great way to just spend a little bit of money for like a huge collection of books. And Sora is the same thing, but just mainly for schools rather than public libraries. Kathy?
Okay, so we are down to the last 5 minutes. We've left you with a couple of just cool tools that you can use. I know sometimes a lot of, we get busy throughout the school year. You need an activity. These are just different activities, crossword puzzles, fun facts, a calendar for the different holidays throughout the year with activities as well. When we have events on our campus, we tend to share this with our teachers so that when they're done with their lesson and they want to add to the lesson, this will be really neat tools for you to use for your classes. So this will end our presentation. Again, we hope that this session you were able to find some information that will help you through your classes. Mac and Via, again, I stress that so much because it has so much in there for you. I know we only touched up on maybe one or two of the resources in the databases, but go in there, take a look. If you're teaching a health course, there's a lot of medical articles that tie into your classes, the career pathways, and so much more that you can find in Mac and Via. But the most important that I see is those test prep materials to help your students pass the exams. So this ends our session. I know, Danica, you were going to add the link in our chat. And then if there are any questions, if you maybe remember a question later on, you may want to add. I'm the librarian again here at PSJ High at Bears, and Danica is a librarian at Liberty. Feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be able to help you. And if we don't have the answer, we definitely will try to help you look for it. Any questions at this time? Thank you again for joining us. We hope that you were able to find some good information. And remember that the session, the link that Danica provided there for you, you have full access to it, and it does provide you with login information to our resources.